Things on only super. I thought I put it on comment. Hold on, let me check. I might have just made it a super fan live. You know I will make a mistake like that. All right. So, welcome to the Superfan Live. This Superfan Live is for you. I will try my best not to tell any long-winded 20-minute stories. That's only for the week. All right, this session is to answer as many questions as I can for my super fans. Anything you want to listen, guys, there's no such thing as a dumb question. There's no such thing as a dumb question. All right, so any questions that you have, I'm going to try to answer them. If you are educated in that area, go ahead and help your fellow trader or investor in the comment section if I'm not able to get to that question fast enough, right? So it looks like there's not that many questions yet. But if you had a burning question about something in the stock market, something that you see in my charts, something that you see in my strategy, something you learned at InvestFest, this is your time to ask that question so that we can try to analyze it as a group and help each other out, all right? I'm just going through all the comments to make sure I didn't miss anything. Teresa says, hello, elite team. Alfred said, good morning. C Spooner says, good morning. Bobby says, hi, Joel. Get Fit, good morning. Happy Saturday. All right, first question. Can you share your hollow candles setting? All right, so if you're on Thinkorswim, and what Bobby is asking for is if you're on Thinkorswim, you're gonna see candles that look like this, or you're gonna see candles that look like, you're gonna see candles that look, you're gonna see candles that look like this. These candles are different. So to make it easier to understand, my charts look a little bit better than you guys' charts. If you're using a default setting, my charts are gonna look a little bit better because I have a trending indicator on my chart. So like, for example, these candles here, guys, this didn't mean that for 30 something days, the SPY went up in price for 30 days in a row. What I have on my charts that most of you guys don't have on your charts is a trending indicator. That's why it looks so easy when I pull up my charts and you're like, how come your charts can see the trend better than my chart? It's because I have trending indicators on my chart. So the two best trending indicators on earth, the two best trending indicators on earth. Let's see if any of you guys can answer it in the comment section. What are the two best trending indicators? So that means if you ever pull up TradingView, or you have, if you ever pull up Fidelity, or if you're ever pulling up any of these other platforms, and you want your charts to show you the trend of the market depending on the charts that you're looking at. There's two trending indicators out there that are going to get the job done, and they're the only two that I use. Now, trending indicator, not moving average. My candles, the candles are the little, you see the green and the red? Those are the candlestick. Those are called candlesticks. These are called candlesticks right here. My candlesticks, if they're green, in general, that means that, when you're looking at candlesticks on any chart, when it's green, that means it closed at one price and it opened at a higher price. When it's red, it's supposed to mean that it opens at one price and closes at a lower price. But a lot of you guys, when you look at this chart, it looks like every single solitary day, this is the spiders, It looks like every day the spiders is up in price. That's not true. All right. The reason why my chart looks like this is because I have either one or two indicators on here. Now, this, you can tell from the jump that it's a TTM trend. The TTM trend is what I have on my charts. Now, the only place that I've seen where you can add the TTM trend, is on Thinkorswim and on TradingView. All right. The other setting that you can use, guys, watch how my candles change. If you're on Thinkorswim, you can go up here to style. If you go to candle type settings, you can go to what we call Heikin Ashi. Now watch this. Watch when I hit the button what happens. Bam, you see that? You see how everything turned green? That's also a very good trending indicator. Now, the question wasn't about Heikin Ashi candles. So if you ever wanted your charts to go from green to red just to show you the trend, let's say you're having a hard time figuring out what the trend is on your chart. You guys had no idea. All you had to do was go to candlesticks, click Heikin Ashi, and it shows you the trend. For example, let's say, and we'll get back to the hollow candle, right? But let's say we go back to how it looks here. Let's say you were trading on a 15-minute chart, and you didn't have the TTM trend on here, right? It's gonna look something like this. Now watch this, guys. Let's say I'm gonna take the VWAP off too, and this is something that a lot of you guys can do right now, and you have no idea that it will help you know what direction you should trade in. So, for example, you see how this chart looks. This is the chart from Friday on the SPY. Now that looks all over the place, right? Let me take something else off too. Let me take off the FW mobile. Let's say you wanted to trade this on Friday. Trying to make this as clean as possible. This is how it will normally look. And a lot of you guys would be like, I don't know if I should be long or short because all I see is red and green and red and green and red and green and red and green. Now watch this. So what if it was around this time and you were like, I really don't know what the trend is. I can't really see the trend of the market. Well, you can go up here, go to style, hit candle type, go to Heikin Ashi, and then watch this. Bam. Well, that didn't really it made it look a little bit more clean, but now you got cleaner moves. Okay? You got cleaner moves. You see how these moves were green and then all of them were red and then all of them were green. You see how these moves are a lot cleaner now. These are a lot cleaner moves to the downside. This is a cleaner move to the upside. This is a cleaner move to the downside. And here's what's crazy. This is a 15-minute chart. So you would have been able to see the trends of the market. That's why I tell you guys, make trading and investing easy. Don't make it hard. Okay? And you see how there's no really mix of red and green. Once it went red, it went down for like an hour. Once it went green for an hour. Once it went red for an hour. Now, back to the original question. The original question was, what was the original question? The original question was about my hollow candle settings. So this is Heikin Ashi candles. So let's go all the way back to the regular chart again, right? What's the difference between a hollow candle and a solid candle? Well, you can go in your settings and let you know. Now, the reason why I went through that whole thing is because all of these candles here, guys, were not candles that were up candles. The only candles where if it opened at one price and it closed at a higher price are hollow candles. That means, yes, these were all up days. Every single one of these were up days. That means we opened at one price, closed at another price. That means for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. 6 days, the S&P 500 went up in price. This green candle here was a down day. But the TTM trend tells you guys that's just a small sell-off, but the trend is still to the upside. So just because it was a down day that day does not mean that this trend is over. It just means it's gonna take a deep breath, relax before it starts to go higher again. Okay? So the light green candle, guys, are down days within a trend to the upside. A red candle is a bona fide, down candle. But once the next day, you see here, this was about to start a new trend. But the way that I look at the market, guys, 3 days is gonna establish a trend. You need 3 red candles before you establish a real trend. Because sometimes you might get a negative tweet from Trump, and it just causes the market to sell off for 1 day, and then news comes out and says he might come out the next day and be like, I was just playing, and then the market continues to go up in price. See, sometimes we get news and we're like, yo, if this news is real, this is gonna change the whole trend of the market. But then 24 hours later, real news comes in, and they're like, oh, that was fake news. And then the market keeps going up. Now, if you get 3 days where you get a red, 3 consecutive red or 3 consecutive green, then there's a problem. So watch, when I'm using the TTM trend, guys, when you get 3 consecutive reds like here, this established a real move to the downside. It wasn't just a fake move. And then what you realize is that we went lower, but we couldn't break to new highs because now you have a double top right here, right? That means price went up. That means people were buying. Then news came out and then people were selling. But the selling, the volume increased and it became real selling, real news, real fundamental reasons why the S&P should go down. Then it tried to rally back to highs. It formed the crab. Remember how I taught you guys the crab formation? When you're looking for a crab formation, guys, you want to see an eyeball here. That's the first crab eye right there. And then you want to see the second eye. And usually the second antenna and eye is going to be a little bit lower. It's always a cockeyed crab. There's your crab. When you see that crab form and you see the crab eyes, and you're going to remember this session, you're going to say, uh-oh, 3 red candles into a crab formation, market might sell off. And look at what it did. It sold off for about a week. And then it started to recover. But the recovery, if you're using a trending indicator, like the Heikin Aiki candles or the TTM trend, you want to make sure you get 3 green candles before you establish a real trend. Now the S&P, as it started to go higher, there's your 3 green candles. So we knew, all right, we could hit new highs. It went up, came back, tested it again, and then look at what happened, guys. It went off the page. Okay. Because we already got the crab formation, and see, it tried to do what we call a triple top. You see this triple top, but I ain't never seen no three-eyed crab. So that was a fake out. All right, and then we went off the page. And then this is what's happening right now as we speak. We hit brand new highs. And I keep telling you guys this. Technically, when we hit new highs, guys, that was a wrap for you short sellers. You short sellers that are short selling the market, you don't understand the technicals of the market and why things are happening. When stocks hit brand new highs, guys, they go higher. Stocks don't hit an all-time high and then reverse and go down. Now, they'll reverse maybe for a day or two. They'll reverse and let people take profits, or short sellers try to jump in. But stocks go higher when they hit a new high. Okay? And I want you guys to remember that, because a lot of you guys are going to think, oh no, that's FOMO, that's FOMO, that's FOMO. No, that's breaking a resistance area, and you're possibly going to start what we call a short squeeze. That means other traders out there that don't look at the technicals and they just think that we're too high, they're going to start short selling the market, and the market's going to rip in their face. And we love that as if you're going long. And it's the same way to the downside. You guys, the same short sellers that short at the wrong areas, which is at the highs, guys, short selling at very new highs is the worst way to trade on earth. On earth. I know when you think about it, it makes sense to do it, right? But I keep telling you guys, when stocks hit highs, they keep hitting new highs. They just keep doing it until, especially if it's early in the quarter. Let's say Micron or somebody comes out with earnings and they blow out their earnings and then they go to all-time highs. That stock might keep hitting all-time highs to the next earnings period. That's 3 months from now. You got 3 whole months where that stock could just keep hitting highs until the news comes in and says, oh, we thought we were going to make 20% more this quarter, but we actually didn't. And then you'll see the stock plummet, but not until then. All right. And that's just a scenario, right? So when we broke the new highs, we already formed the crab formation. We already sold off. So that's when you were supposed to short the market, guys. And when the market said no, 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 and it kept going higher and it went against the crab, because it got crabs. The market got crabs like it was supposed to, and it sold off like it was supposed to. The problem is that short sellers don't really know when to short. They're just as bad at short selling as a lot of you guys are as getting into positions to go long. All right. So if you were looking at these candles, you see how this candle is hollow? These are legitimate up candles. That means all of these candles, guys, after this crab formation, these were legitimate up candles because they were hollow. Hollow candles, guys, is real buying. These are real buying. These 3 days here, you remember how I told you guys after a trend break, when you get about 3 candles that are consecutive, watch this. When you got 3 candles that were consecutive, guys, that was it for anybody that thought the market was going down. You were wrong. You had to get out, and you had to get out fast. You had 3 days. You had 3 days to get your butt out of those shorts. Look at that. And all the market did was go a little bit higher. Now, can this be establishing a new trend to the downside? Yeah. But I wouldn't be betting on it yet. We did get 3 candles that are red. Everyone should be worried right now. But short sellers, that doesn't mean that you were right. Do you know how much the market ran in the last 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, in the last 14 days? Do y'all know what the market did? The market ran, listen to this, the market ran 8%. 8%. I'm sorry, y'all was wrong. A 8% run? A 8% run? Of course people are going to be taking profit right now. But I still wouldn't be betting on this being the move. Now, if you're short selling, this is where you get in. You terrible short sellers out there, this is when you get in short. Because see, you tried to get in short way down here where you were wrong. You got short squeezed. It formed a bull flag, went higher. Now that you all out of money, you can't even get in the short that you want to get into because you don't know when to short. This is when you short. 3 red consecutive candles. And the candles, guys, are not hollow. They're not hollow, guys. That's not good for the market. Short term. All right. So that's the difference between hollow candles and solid candles. Solid candles are down candles. Hollow candles are up candles. When you get a hollow green, you better not short. When you get a solid red, you better not go long. And we got 4, guys, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 6 solid candles in a row. Now, we did hit a new high. Remember, I like the crab formation because we're forming one. I like the crab formation when the right eye is lower than the left eye. When the right eye is higher than the left eye, I still feel like we can hit new highs because we just hit a new high. I want to see a failure of a high. So what do I mean by a failure of a high? I'm going to show you. When we hit this high right here, a failure, when we hit this high right here, a failure of a high is if you don't get as high as that high. See, that was the high, but look, guys, we actually peaked above it. We peaked above that high and formed a very new high. So I want you guys to think about something. And I'm gonna cut this music all the way down so you can hear me. This is the S&P 500. This is not a normal stock. I want you guys to think about that. This is the S&P 500 that represents 500 of the largest companies on earth. I want you to think about this because y'all don't be thinking when y'all be buying and shorting. The S&P 500, if the S&P 500, when the S&P 500 starts to hit new highs, guys, it's not the same stocks all the time. Investors will start doing the rotation game. That means they'll rotate into companies at highs, then they'll look for companies that aren't at highs. Companies like maybe Microsoft or companies that are lagging. And then they'll rotate their money out of one into the laggards, or they'll rotate into other sectors. So just because the S&P 500 hit that high and it's taking a break, that break could be investors about to rotate it into Lilly or rotate it into crypto or rotate it into some other sector that's not been getting any love. And then it pushes the S&P 500 higher. Now, I would agree if this was just a regular stock and we hit a high and then we peaked above that high, I would treat it as a double top. But I'm not treating it as a double top on an index. That's different. An index composes of multiple companies. So you might just see a rotation and a rotation and a rotation, and that's actually healthy for the market. You want to see healthy rotation, because what makes it go higher is not only do you get healthy rotation, but more money starts to come in. Okay, so just because we hit that double top doesn't mean this is over. It just means there might be rotation. So that's why every week we kind of want to know what's pushing the S&P 500 higher. Well, this week the S&P 500 got a little bit of stability because of gold and crypto, which is wild, right? Like, when have we seen a rotation into crypto? That's healthy, guys. That's people who made a whole bunch of money in data centers and all of this other stuff, and they're searching. They're like, what other areas are people not paying attention to that need some love? All week long, it was about Moderna and data centers and Micron and storage. Crypto's like, we had no love in 300 days. All right, let's concentrate on Circle, and let's concentrate on on the Hype coin and Hyperlink and Hyperliquid. Next week it might be something else. You want that. You want money to rotate while the market is still at highs. That is healthy, guys. It's healthy, and we wanted that because, look, we're going to look at the leaders that pushed us up here. Right? When you look at the leaders, let's look at Apple. You got Apple. Look at where Apple is, guys. Apple's not at all-time highs. Apple's not at all-time highs right now. It's close. It feels like it if you've never, Apple's all-time high was $344. I'm going to get to you guys' questions, but that was a good question. $344. We're now sitting at $309. Let's look at Microsoft. Microsoft's not at all-time highs, and these are the leaders. Now, Microsoft, I hope y'all got in. I done made y'all a lot of money in Microsoft. I made y'all a lot of money. Here's the crab formation. This was a super crab right here. I don't even have to draw the antennas. The antennas are already there. Look at this. The antennas are already there. Look at that. Looks like it looks more like an owl than a crab. There's your little crab formation. Microsoft, and what do we do, guys? We got in way down here. Oh my God, we got in way down here at the yellow brick road. Oh man, I got y'all. Look at this crab right here. I got y'all in at the feet of the crab. If this wasn't a great freaking entry, I got you. Guys, when you can get in at the feet of the crab, at the yellow brick road, you get moves like this. Send my check in the mail, or you can just throw me a galaxy or two. Made y'all a whole bunch of money on this one. It's close to its all-time highs. It's not quite there. All right, let's look at Google. Is Google anywhere near its highs? Kinda close, right? We are at 341. Google hit a high of 404. Dang, sorry about that. Google's at 404. Which one did we miss? Meta's getting obliterated. Guys, I would stay away from Meta for a whole year. Y'all heard what I said? If you're in Meta, I would stay out of Meta for a full entire year. They got some negative news coming their way. And it happens. And once all of this legal issues get out the way, they're suing, like, everybody and their mama is going after Meta right now. Everybody on this TikTok live is going after Meta. They're like, see, Meta, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be on this TikTok live watching Joel. This social media experiment is terrible. I should be out and about playing golf, and I'm inside on my computer. Look at his stocks. Yes, so Meta is getting sued by everybody. Saying that social media has caused a lot of mental health issues. And the lawsuits I think the lawsuits exceeded trillions of dollars. So I would stay away from Meta for about a year. It's going to take about a good year for them to get out of this. I don't know if they're going to settle. I don't know if they're going to create a new way of logging into Facebook. I don't know what they're going to. They got a whole year to think about this plan. And listen, if somebody around you, hurt themselves because of social media and they're having mental health issues, I do sympathize with you. So, I do have jokes about everything. Listen, my wife is an addictions, mental health psychiatrist. So I know about mental health. All right. So don't let the jokes, don't judge me because of my jokes. All right. But it is funny that they're getting sued for trillions of dollars for creating Facebook. We always harp on the negative, but we never think about the positive. Y'all know I never have to go out and, you remember back in the day when you used to videotape everything you did and then you would store those videos. These are for your older people that are out there, because some of you guys are like, what the heck is a videotape? Yeah, those VHS tapes or those big old cameras with the little tapes in it. We used to have to tape, guys, and then we would have to store these tapes somewhere where it wasn't cold or hot, or that those tapes were going to get destroyed. I haven't recorded something on a video camera in 20 something years. If I logged out of my Facebook account, I know I'm telling the story. If I logged out of my Facebook account right now, do you know how much of my, like even now, I would get a reminder of something I did a year ago on this date. And I'm always like, oh my God, look at these little pictures of my kids when they were 8 and 7 years old, when I was over in Brazil. Like I got one yesterday, 2 days ago. I get a reminder of it. And for you guys that don't know who Lydia Ko is, I know I said I wasn't going to tell stories, but whatever. Lydia Ko was like at one point the #1 golfer in the world for women. So we were blessed and lucky enough to go to the Rio Olympics. So we were in Rio during the Olympics. And one of the tickets that we were able to get was golf. So, I was loving it, right? So one of the videos that I taped, the kids, we were all on the golf course and Lydia Ko was walking by and my kids got colored hair. Their hair was like, one of them had like a blonde box. The other one had like red. And Lydia Ko came by and they had their hands out and she gave them a 5 and she says, "Ooh, I love your hair." Now, mind you, she ended up getting, I think, a bronze at that Olympics. And then she ended up becoming the #1 golfer in the world like years later, right? But I would have never remembered that if Facebook didn't pop it up in my feed and I was able to see it and remember it. Because I didn't know where it was stored. I forgot that video even existed. So there are some good things that social media has put into place, but people harp so much on the negative that it's crazy. Like, it's not all the reasons why people have mental health issues, guys. There's a lot of factors that come into play. Can it help? Can it increase? If you're having certain issues, can it hurt certain individuals? Yeah, but not all individuals. Like, come on now. It's just like alcohol, right? I don't drink alcohol at all. But if you choose to drink it, just do it in moderation, right? Like, I've seen people who live to be 105 years old and they ate, my great grandmother ate candy every day. She lived to be 100 years old. So this sugar is the killer of, she lived to be 100. She had a candy store and she got high on her own supply. She created a candy. That's probably why I got a sweet tooth. So anyway, so that's my story. I'm stopping. Whatever. My bad. I said I wasn't gonna tell no story. But that's Meta. I would stay away from Meta for a whole year because they gonna have some issues. They gonna have to settle. They gonna have to do something. What other company did I miss out on? Amazon? Let's look at Amazon. Now Amazon's at its all-time high. Well, no, it's not. It was at its all-time highs 3 days ago. So the leaders, let's look at Nvidia. The leaders that usually push the market to all-time, well, Nvidia is on its way to all-time highs. Okay. So then you got to look at other companies like Lilly, right? Nobody's really been talking about healthcare companies like Lilly. Oh, that's not Lilly. Because when I want to see rotation, I start looking at healthcare. I start looking at the other things in the world that's getting a lot of play. Look, Eli Lilly, all-time highs. Merck, of course, Merck is going to be at all-time or maybe close to all-time highs. What's Merck? Merck, all-time highs. So GLP-1, healthcare, starting to do their thing, right? Data center companies. Now, here's what's funny, guys. The data center stuff ain't at all-time highs. So why do you think we're at all-time highs? Because once a company like Micron and SanDisk, they all hit all-time highs, money rotated out of those companies, went into some of the companies that weren't leading at the time, the Nvidias, the Apples, the Amazons. And now that they're close to being at all-time highs, where do you think money's going to rotate back into, guys? You've guessed it, the things that got us here in the first place. Micron, SanDisk, they all just sat back, guys, and took a break and said, you know what? We've been leading all year. Why don't y'all do something? Why don't you pull your weight? Now, it's funny because Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Nvidia, they've been like, yo, we've been pulling the weight for 30 years. And now y'all want to talk about us? All right. Some of us are in relationships like that. People be forgetting. They get 1, 2, 3 good years. Then all of a sudden you just chop liver. Like you must have, you remember when Roy Jones was like, you must have forgot. Who are you talking to? You got a nice little run going on, Micron. Micron's like, look, we have gone from 500 billion to 1 trillion. No company in history has gone from 500 billion to $1 trillion as fast as we did. It took you 30 years to get to $1 trillion, Apple. It took us 1. So SanDisk, Micron, all of them took a break. Money rotated right back into, think about it. I promise you, if we go look at our charts, I promise you when SanDisk was peaking, that was the bottom of Microsoft at the 200-week moving average. Timed perfectly. Rotation. You guys got to see how money rotates in one and then rotates into the other. So that's why we come in here. That's why I'm always asking you guys, what stocks do you want to look at? Because we're constantly looking for stocks that are on sale, that are just taking a break. When Micron and SanDisk and all of them sold off, guys, every single time a stock starts to sell off or a stock goes parabolic and it sells off, the immediate reaction is always, that's it, guys, that's it. No more data centers. I saw them picketing last week. They're not building any more data centers, guys. It's over. No one needs storage. Any SK Hynix guys, I'm sorry. They're over here in the States. That's it. That's it, guys, for storage. Apple said they're gonna use SK Hynix. That means Micron is going bankrupt. SanDisk going bankrupt. Western Digital going bankrupt. Seagate, see you later, Seagate. This is how humans think. No, guys, they take breaks. You're just not used to buying something when it's on sale. You're so used to buying things when they're at the highs that's the normal feeling for you. In this room, we don't do that. In this room, we purposely look for the 50% area that it drops at. And we constantly buy at the 50% area. So buying at the highs does not feel normal to us. We're like, ugh, I don't like that feeling. Ugh. We like buying right here in the middle because that's actually the best risk to reward area. Train yourself to buy 50% off. You never have to worry about FOMO. If you start training yourself on buying at the 50% area from here on out, you're going to learn that, oh man, it's just taking a break and letting me in. All right, Bitcoin. We talked about this yesterday. Bitcoin. I see it in the comments. A lot of the stocks y'all are putting up there, I'm just pulling them up. Bitcoin. Could you have bought this at the 50% area? You sure could have. Nuh-uh, Joel. Yeah. Watch. Instead of buying way up here at 120, have some patience. Throw a Fibonacci. Say that mug like 10 times in a row. Fibonacci. All you had to do was sit your butt down and wait. Now here's the thing. Waiting for it to drop to the 50% area is like listening to all your friends talk negative about something. You remember when y'all would get in a group and somebody would be interested in talking to some girl or some boy, and somebody in the group will have all the negative news in the world about that person. That person used to be me, right? Every relationship I used to get in, everybody's always like, so-and-so said this about you, and then you do this and you do that. And then about after 2 weeks, it's always the same story. Joel, you're not who I thought you were. Joel, why are people saying these things? And then they got one eye open like the whole time because there's so much negativity they just can't believe. That is not true. Joel, you're not really like that. Then you feel like, well, I got a gym. I'm happy everybody talk negative about Joel. Keep going. It's the same thing about these stocks. Oh my God, the negativity you had to hear about Bitcoin for it to get to 50%, that's what you need to break it down so it can get down to your level. They had to break it down. It's not going to get down there, guys, off positive news. The only way a stock is going to drop 20 to 50% is you got to have negative news out there. That's why it doesn't feel comfortable for you buying it. And then the person that everybody was talking good about, what they end up being the most disastrous relationships ever. You start seeing all types of, the first day you see all types of skeletons in their closet. You're like, do they know about this? No, and don't tell anyone. I'm like, bump that. My life was all about, look, if you can't accept me at my worst, then I don't need to be with you. If you're like, man, I'm cool with kicking it with Joel right here, no money. Well, I've always had muscles. No money, out of shape. Joel, then shoot, I'll marry you. Cause I'm like a stock. I'm like a stock at the 70% area. That's how I always looked at it. I'm just down in my luck, guys. I'm at the 65% area on the Fibonacci. Girls will be like, "What are you talking about? This guy is weird." This guy is weird. It's only up from here. What is he talking about? Anyway, so to get this particular stock, 70, you getting me 70% off. So only upside from here. Anyway, so the 200-week moving average was angled up. This is Bitcoin. If you threw a Fibonacci on there, guys, y'all know how long it took for Bitcoin to drop to this Fibonacci level? It hit highs on September 2025. Guys, it's August now. Think about that. I want you guys to think about that. It took a whole 11 months for this bad boy to drop down to this 50% area. And that makes a lot of sense. When Bitcoin goes into a bear market, the average time that it's in a bear market is like, I keep forgetting, I think it's 300. I know the average bear market is 344 days, but the average Bitcoin bear market is somewhere in the 300s too. I don't remember if it was 320 or 330. It was a little bit faster than the average bear market. So we're almost at that 300-day mark. That means, guys, Bitcoin's probably about to start turning around. And it makes a lot of sense when you see the charts, when you hear the type of news that's coming out. That's not by coincidence, guys. They have all waited for all of this positive news to come out so that they can have a reason for it to go higher, just like they had a reason to make it fall. You can't make Bitcoin fall in price with positive news. It has to be negative. You can't make Bitcoin go up on negative news. It's got to be positive. You got the president involved. You got hyper. I get the word. What is it? Is it a hyperlink? Hyper network, hyper what? What's it called? Hyper liquid? With the hype coin and the perpetual freaking futures and the per stock. All right, let me get to your stocks, your questions. I think there's enough now. All right, so we answered the question. Okay, so Alfred, we didn't look at Circle. He wanted to look at Circle. Circle is part of this group too also, guys. Sir, is this the right Circle? This ain't the right Circle. What is this? CRCL? All right. So for you guys that don't know this, Circle is a crypto company specializing in stable coins. A stable coin is a coin that doesn't go up and down every day like 5, 10, 15% like Bitcoin does. When you buy a stable coin like is it USDT? Is that one? If you buy a stable coin like USDT, a lot of day traders, when I used to day trade cryptocurrency, guys, we would trade Bitcoin all day long, and then we would buy the USDT so that the money that we made won't move up or down more than like 0.5%. So if I'm trading $50,000 worth of Bitcoin and I make $1,500 and I'm sitting with $51,050 in my account, at the end of the day, I would buy USDT. And then tomorrow when I wake up, I don't have to worry about that $50,000 being worth $40,000. And then when I decide I want to trade again, I will convert that USDT over into Bitcoin, and then I'll trade it. And you do that over and over again. At night, you go into USDT. During the trading hours, you get into the trading, into the cryptos that you want to get into. That's what a stable coin is. All right, Circle Internet Group is a company that specializes in these stable coins. Now, if you look at the chart down here, we got the crab formation. Now, we haven't looked at Circle in a minute, so when Circle was creating the bug eyes, I told everybody this was good. Bug eyes was not good, and guess what? We sold off because we started forming the crab formation. The crab eyes are at the top. You want to buy down where the claws are. You want to buy where the claws are. You want to get out where the eyes are. So short sellers, I'm showing you a very good shorting strategy called the crab. When you see the crab, and this is something that I created, when you see the crab and it breaks that trend line, that's your go to short. Stop shorting just because we hit all-time highs. You need to see a high, you need to see a failure of a high, and then a break in